there was a lot that we were discovering during the alpha. You guys have been very busy putting your Easter eggs all throughout. I will say that. We had actually, it was Bam. I'm pretty sure Bam's in the chat right now. He was able to find a robot that was on top of Cardinal Tower in Glacier, I believe it is.
Well, I'll have to go check that out. I didn't even know that that was there.
Yeah, him and his buddy, they both had portals, and they basically buddy hopped all the way up to the top, and there was an actual robot there. If
Oh, dude, that's sick.
For anyone who's watching after the live, I will edit in his short so that way you guys can see what we're talking about. It is actually really cool. And for anyone who wants to see it, May 22nd, when the beta launches, get on Glacier, get a portal, and go to the top of Cardinal Tower. So, what's up? It's your boy Yergi. We have a special episode for you today. We have Ben here, one of the Splitgate 2 devs. I'm actually so excited for this. I could barely focus today, to be honest. This was all I was really thinking about all day while I was at work. It was actually a problem. I can't lie. But yeah, let's not wait too long. Let's get right into it. Let's introduce the legend, the man, the myth, Finest Ben. How are you doing, man?
You're flattering me, man. I'm doing great. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, dude, thank you. Thank you.
For the viewers, Yergi and I, we go way back to Splitgate 1, back to the custom maps and all that. I loved Super Customs.
So much fun.
I look forward to it every single week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys whip up in the sequel.
Honestly, we always enjoyed having you come and play. For us, it was a treat because we could just pepper you with all of our questions while we just had fun playing. So we look forward to doing that again. We are trying to get it started as soon as we can. Hopefully the customs is all ready for us to go on beta. If the map editor is, I'm kind of guessing that that's going to be there too, but that's to be seen. Let me get the first question ready. What is your position at 1047 and what are your duties?
Yeah, it's a good first question. So, I'm one of the game engineers here at 1047. Let's see. I joined just over 4 years ago, back in 21, right before the console launch, and I've seen the team grow from like just a handful of people, like 8 or 9 people, all the way up to I think we've got like 200 now. So it's just been an incredible journey. What I do specifically, so I work inside the Unreal Engine, and my focus is on the gameplay itself.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of my main focuses personally are I mostly work on the overall game flow and the modes. So stuff like the tutorial was sort of my main baby, I suppose, that I did most recently. And then pre-post game where you've got all the people selecting loadouts at the start and the little winner's circle at the end, and modes like capture point modes, hot zone, dom, that kind of thing. Those are some of the things I've worked on. And then outside that too, I've just sort of worked on weird mathy stuff in the sandbox. So the portal system, how it's got like the new like portal nudging, portal replacing, snapping portals to the floor, in case you place them just a little bit too high.
That's been nice. I have to say that change in particular, we in the community have been loving. We've been saying no more stub toes.
Yeah, no, it's a game changer, honestly. Every now and then I'll go back to the first, and the first has a lot of charm, but your toes on the portals can definitely get a little infuriating at times.
Yeah, no, I feel that I'm making one of my last maps right now in Splitgate 1, and as much charm as it has and much fun as I had, I'm excited for the new map editor and the new game because of all the improvements that have been made.
Yeah, well, we're just as excited for you guys to begin your hands on it.
Hell yeah. Let me pull up the next questions now. What has been your favorite Super Custom moments that you can remember? I bet there's quite a few because week after week.
I was gonna say it's hard to pick just one. I'd say a handful. Like, I think Bounty was one of the really cool moments for me as a developer because you guys took a mode that we had envisioned just sort of playing one way and just completely reworked it to an entirely different flow. Entirely new strategies, totally different map design, stuff we could have never pulled off necessarily on one of the normal maps. I don't think that mode would have played well on any of them.
We actually had some debates within the community. We think there were 1 or 2 maps where we could have made it work. It wouldn't have been ideal, but it would have worked. I think Lava Well was one because it kind of has that shape.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. But it really just blew me personally away, at least seeing the the creativity of the mapper community and start to highlight that as well. I have to pick one other favorite custom or super customs moment, which I remember there's this one map where there's like this slide or something like this.
Yes.
And there's this portal wall at the bottom and at the top, and everyone had like BFBs and it was split ball. And,
I remember that.
Everyone was just falling down really quick, and looping around. I was like, you could never do this in any other game, And so, to me, that was just a really special moment as a developer.
Yeah. No, there were definitely a lot of just different fun game modes that we're able to create just because of the portals themselves. They allow you to do some very unique things. And I'm honestly, with some of the new toys we saw, there's a lot of new ideas we're going to be definitely coming out with, too.
I'm excited.
Yeah, let's move on. Oh yeah, what was your favorite Splitgate 1 map? I know everyone has their personal favorites. What's yours?
Yeah, I hate to sound like a broken record. I know this is a pretty common opinion, but Abyss for me is just so great.
It's hard not to like Abyss. It's really hard not to.
I really feel like it just really encapsulates the best parts of the original Splitgate sandbox. You've really got a little bit of everything there, and what really puts it over the top for me, there's quite a few other maps where I feel like they do that, but Abyss is asymmetric, which I think makes it really unique. I think, in my mind at least, it's always more impressive to find a asymmetric map that feels balanced and feels like it plays really well.
Yes.
And I feel like our LDs just really knocked it out of the park with that one, so it's just always such a blast whenever I see it come up in matchmaking.
Yep. Honestly, I do think it's one of my personal favorites too. A lot of people in the community would say the same. It's just because it is really just a very well designed and well rounded map. It does everything just right. It has a little bit of everything to keep it interesting. It's simple but yet complex enough to where you're not getting bored of playing it after the 50th, 100th time. Like, you're gonna want to play it another 50 or 100 times. In fact, with that being said, can we possibly see a Abyss 3.0?
I mean, I can't answer that, but
I'm hoping, I'm praying. I'm praying, because with them bringing back Stadium, and then you guys made the post about what maps we want to see next. If any devs are listening right now, I want to see Abyss, please.
Yeah, and to be clear, like, I'm right here with you guys. There's a lot in the game that I just don't know about. I actually just found out about the Stadium remake not too long ago, and like, I was jumping out of my seat. I was like, oh my gosh. It's, funnily enough, it's my second favorite map probably, so I was over the moon when I heard it was coming back. So yeah,
I always felt like Stadium had good bones. I definitely felt like there were some problems that with it, but it looks like the new rework has fixed a couple of the main problems I had with it, which kind of excites me. I'm excited to get my hands on it and actually test it a bit. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Let's get into the next question though. What new challenges did you have to face in Splitgate 2 compared to Splitgate 1?
That's a really good question. So, what I would say is, like, obviously we moved from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5.
Yep.
And a lot of the developers that are on the team now, I'd say had that thing mastered right out of the gate. But for me personally, I had never looked at it once before, you know, starting work on this game. So
Yep.
for me, it was definitely a bit of a steep learning curve. But I'm really grateful that we did. Like, it's let us do a lot of things that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise.
Yeah.
Um,
It
and just
I was gonna
oh,
say too, for like you said, for newer and even younger people like myself, it is a lot easier for us to learn just because it kind of goes with that more streamlined editor format that we're used to seeing.
totally. And with it also, Epic just has so many neat tools and systems that have let us streamline our development in many ways. Like, you know, I can't go into too many details, I'm sure you understand, but
Yep.
our weapon system, for instance, what used to be so clunky in the first game, and now
Yeah.
it's like, if you want to make a new gun, you know, notwithstanding skins, art, stuff like that, it's really easy to just prototype stuff yourself and go, hey, you know, I want a gun that does X. Let's put some stuff together and see what we can come up with. So
Yeah,
that's been a lot of fun.
I was gonna say I had listened to a interview with the CEOs, and they had talked about how they made it more modular now, to where it's a lot easier to make individual updates without breaking the whole entire system. And I feel like, especially with how the Splitgate community operates, that is going to be very good because we all are constantly throwing a bunch of different ideas out and just trying to see what's fun and works.
Totally. I think you hit the nail on the head there with
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, with that, let's get into the next category, because most of those I wanted to be a little bit more centered on you and less so on the game. Let's get into more of the philosophies now on what you guys are, how you tackle certain challenges and aspects of the game.
Totally. Yeah, I'm happy to share what I can. Obviously, I'm no spokesman for the company. This is
Yes.
just my opinion, just putting that disclaimer out there, but I'm happy to speak about what I can.
Yeah, and I always feel like it's just good to get an idea of how the devs think as they're creating the game, because when you're someone playing the game, you want to feel that character of the people who actually make the game, because that's what makes it fun. So the first question is, what is the philosophy on power weapons as far as advantages versus loadout weapons, uses before depletion, and like stuff like strategic map placement?
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, of course, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah. No.
And I have a lot of words to say, I suppose. So,
I
I
mean, we
guess
got
just
nothing but time. So if you want
perfect.
to take this bullet point by bullet point, we can.
Yeah, so I guess obviously, you know, just starting off, advantages versus loadout weapons, you generally want a power weapon to be stronger than
Yes.
something in your loadout, you know. It's something that you have to contest and fight for on a map, so
Mhm.
it's sort of a risk reward factor. If you played the alpha too, you know, you remember from the airdrops that the announcer made it very clear that the loot might be worth the risk, and you know, with power weapons, it's our goal to make sure that it is for sure.
Mhm.
As for, like, you know, how it plays, I think there's a lot of factors that go into this, and this is just based off of my own experiences, you know, giving feedback. But for me, when I look at a power weapon, and again, I don't make these decisions, but when I look at a power weapon, for me, it's a mixture of like how easy it is it to use, you know, how much skill ceiling is needed to reach its max potential, how many kills can you even possibly get with it. So something like the BFB obviously has a vastly different kill potential versus like the
Yep.
sniper rifle, which requires, you know, a lot more precision, but the
Yep.
trade-off is you can use it from much further away and get more kills with it.
Yeah,
So
you
I
got
think
more ammo and
there's
all that. Yep.
yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into this. And one other thing I think I can say is compared to the first game, like, we have a very, very impressive gameplay data collection system now, where we can now aggregate just tons of information about how the game is playing in certain areas and use that to help us make choices. So We
That's
can
great to
see
know,
like
actually.
what people are getting kills with, where they're getting kills with it, what are hot spots on maps, what are spots where,
Yeah.
they go relatively empty, what are interesting fights taking place over,
Yeah.
which power weapons might be overperforming, which are under. And so all of this, really factors into our decisions a lot, I'd say, when it comes to, how we balance these power weapons and where we put them.
Yeah, no, that's actually really great to hear. From what it sounds like, you guys are really focusing on more of the aspect of being able to make the changes and improvements you need to make as we go forward. Because being a part of the Splitgate community, it's always changing, and we're always noticing different things, and being able to make those changes on the fly is great, and it's what keeps people interested and engaged, knowing that when you notice a problem, that a change is going to actually be made in a reasonable time, but also not too hasty, because you don't want to just make a change just because a bunch of people go on Twitter and get mad. You want some data to back the change too.
Exactly. And, I mean, obviously, when there are a bunch of people going on Twitter and getting mad, that's great feedback as well. And,
Yes.
we definitely look at people's verbal feedback as well. Even going back to the first alpha, I think two pieces of feedback that ring out very loud and clear for us were the time to kill was maybe a little bit
Yes.
too fast back then.
Yeah.
And then for me personally, this was a little more relevant. The hot zone, the shared captures stuff where you could steal kills
Dude,
from other teams.
that was so annoying.
So the thing is,
yeah,
what isn't always transparent, things often play very differently internally compared to, live tests. So we played pretty much every version of Hot Zone you could think of while we were baking that mode. And ultimately, we just found that having that shared progress was the most fun. But there's a lot of differences in live play. Like, you're not hand-picking teams, before a match. Instead, you have a matchmaker that does it.
I was also going to say, with a dev team, you also have a little bit of a higher interest for just seeing just the game and seeing it do good. So you're going to be more interested and invested in every second, where you get just a casual player who hops on to play. They're probably not thinking the same thing. They're probably going to wander off for a little bit, look at this, and do some other stuff, because you can't predict what someone wants to do in the moment right there. So
yeah,
I can understand that, and it's definitely nice to get that good just a wider range of feedback. And you could I like seeing the change from the first alpha to the second alpha too, because you could tell you guys were listening and you made the changes that we wanted. And even from the alpha to now, with the couple announcements you've made, from bringing back Takedown to even bringing back a couple old Splitgate 1 maps, it just sounds like you're really listening to the feedback that we've given, and that really makes you feel confident in you're going to be getting a game that's going to last a while.
Yep, definitely. I mean, at our core, we're all just really gamers. They're trying to make a game that's as fun as it could be, And so, like I'm not sure if you've seen, but we are very, very active in matchmaking in these tests too. Like, we all love this game, our hearts and souls are in it. So ultimately, if everyone's happy, like, we love you guys, we love the community, and we really just want to build something great, and you guys are a big part of that. So thanks, and it's a lot of very good help, I would say.
Yeah, no, honestly, just love the whole team because of how much they are involved in the community. The fact that me, as a small time streamer and channel, I'm able to reach out to you and ask to do an interview like this, it's amazing. I don't think I'd be able to do this with any other company, to be honest. So just thank you, and
I mean, we're all happy to make this happen, so
let's go to the next question then. There are a couple of good features from Splitgate 1, such as replays. There's been a lot of people actually talking about Linux support as well. And we haven't seen any of this implemented yet in Splitgate 2. Is there any reason why, or could we potentially be seeing them implemented in the future?
Okay, so let me break this down a little bit. So for the Linux support, I frankly know as much as you guys do, probably
Okay.
less, because that's
Okay.
pretty outside my wheelhouse.
I don't know much.
I know they made an announcement. I think Cardinal said it had something to do with anti-cheat, but I'm not super clued in on that one. So I'm
Yeah.
afraid you guys are gonna have to continue speculating on that front because I'm just not sure.
Okay.
But on the replay front, I actually can talk about that, and I know we've talked about this publicly. So
Yep.
with the shift to Unreal 5, we shifted something called our replication system to something called Iris. So replication, just for those of you not in the loop necessarily on that, is basically the idea where you have a dedicated server, right, running,
Yep.
and then a bunch of clients that connect to that server. And something needs to keep the data between all those people in sync. So that's what replication is. It basically makes sure that all the data that, say, the server sets on something is propagated down to the clients and they receive the necessary updates. So Iris is a fantastic system that's really led to some huge performance improvements over the first game for us. You know, our netcode is leagues beyond where it used to be, I would say.
Okay.
The catch, though, is that Iris isn't developed in-house. It's actually developed, I believe, by Epic themselves, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong there. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
In any case, though, so it's developed not by us. And a big thing that they've mentioned that they'd like to add support for but can't is replays. And so ultimately, having a replay system is dependent on how your replication works.
Okay.
And until they end up supporting that on their side, we can't bring it into our game super easily. So I know it's something the Cardinals said in the past, you know, we'd love to add. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think anything's changed on that front. But
Yeah.
at the very least, right now, that's still sort of holding us back from pulling the trigger, so to speak, and making it happen.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I knew that's where you guys were at. You guys want to add it, but the system you using is preventing it. That's kind of nice to know that they're at least trying to add it. So hopefully, maybe sometime in the distant future, pray. But it is sad that we won't have it. But what can you do? Let's move on to the next questions. Are there any plans on making more factions? And if there are no plans for more factions, are there plans to possibly get more abilities?
Okay, so I'll echo again what Cardinal said here. I hate to be a broken record, but I know he said at least at the end of the last alpha, probably not, unless people really wanted more factions.
Yep.
I know he mentioned initially he was considering a fourth faction, which I wasn't necessarily in the loop on, but he decided that he felt that the game played well enough with 3, and that he's happy with that for the time being, I believe. So there could be more coming. There could not be.
Me
I'm
personally,
afraid I just don't know, you know?
I don't want to see any more factions. If it were me, I'd rather see more abilities because it kind of helps to keep a more cohesive theme still while allowing more player expression without it feeling too much like a hero shooter, which is what I don't want Splitgate to start to feel like. I kind of like where it is now, where it kind of is an arena shooter mixed with a class-based shooter, which is a lot of fun.
Totally. And I feel like the factions themselves, as they stand right now, really have unique identities that you can play around, you know? You've got Arrows, which, you know, they're the Portal Masters, but I think of them sort of as like hit and gun, like Portal in, Portal out, like very harass-oriented play style, which is unique compared to like Meridian, where there may be a little bit more utility focused, you know, gain information for their team, giving them buffs, potentially giving the other team debuffs if you get creative with the time bubble, for instance. And then you've got Sibrask, which is sort of that slow, methodical, like pushing forward, like slowly but surely type faction. And so I think the 3 of them have very interesting interplay and all have pros and cons that work super well together. I mean, personally, I could see a 4th faction maybe adding its own identity, but I agree. I think 3 for now, from
Yep.
my perspective, seems pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll have to see what the future holds.
Yeah, and like I said before, if we do need more player expression with the abilities, you can always just add a second ability to each faction. You now have 6 abilities, three factions, and they still will fit within that faction's play style. So, to me, that just seems like a better route than just adding more factions. Let's with that, let's move to the next one then. What is your guys' philosophy on community playlists, and could we possibly see one coming?
Okay, so I'm gonna dodge the could we possibly see one coming because I obviously can't speak about future content.
Worth a try. Worth a try.
Yeah, good try. What I will say though is personally, I love community playlists.
Yes.
Some of my favorite memories from the first game were like playing some of the Fiesta modes on the created map playlists.
Yes.
You know, were really fun. And also, I remember not so long ago there was a remake of a lot of the maps that we showed off in like the alphas.
Yes.
Those got remade in the original, and you know there was some gameplay there. And it was really interesting to see how differently stuff like Ozone would play with the old sandbox.
Yep.
And so, I mean, personally, at least for me, I always had fun, and you know, I definitely welcome that if it were in the cards.
Yeah. Well, you know how we as the map builders feel. We absolutely love those playlists. Honestly, a lot of us barely play in the matchmaking until those playlists come out. So excited. I just want more playlists, more Splitgate 2. You know it. Also, one thing I was actually thinking about, and we had talked about with some map builders that would be really nice, is having some sort of way to search for like a creator tag for maps. So like me, when I or Phoenix were to make a map, when we're building it, we could just add a little tag in that says @ and then our gamer tag. And then you guys would have a database where they could search our name, and then all of the maps that we make and put our tag on will then show up. Just a little bit of an easier way for people to actually search for the community maps outside of having to go into Discord and then search through the catalogs that we have.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. And, you know, obviously based off my background, I'm very far removed from our map creator team. But, you know, we as a whole team, especially our designers, you know, we're always looking through feedback and ideas that are given to us, like on Discord, on Reddit, on Twitter, Insta, you name it. Yep. So, like, that's exactly the kind of idea where I would say definitely leave that. And I think a lot of people would get excited about that kind of thing.
I'm probably going to have to push that idea out a bit more, because I feel like that would just be a really good community builder too, because you're going to have people who come in, they're not really used to the whole Discord community and how all those systems work, and just giving them an easier way to find the maps that we make and a lot of the people love to play would just be absolutely amazing. This is actually a good question. We've already touched on this a little bit, but let's get a little bit more in depth. What is your guys' philosophy on time to kill? Have you guys thought about possibly increasing it even a little bit more than what you have already?
I can only really share again what I've heard, which is just from what I've seen, a lot of people seem pretty happy with the time to kill we had in Alpha 2.
Yep.
Maybe it could be changing. What I'll also say is obviously we're always just collecting data, as I mentioned before, and stuff like time to kill is very fundamental and common data that we get for pretty much every gun. So that gives us a lot of good insights as to what, you know, might be overperforming, underperforming. Yep. You know, is it maybe still too fast given that? Is it too slow? Like, we have so many insights into that. What I'll also say as well is we have some very top-notch game designers and a really flexible balancing system for our games. So
that's good. That's good.
You know, they're always tuning stuff very frequently. I would say like we do tons of like weekly tests, and no 2 weeks feel the same in terms of balance. Always like there's always slight tweaks, you know, and it's always interesting to try those out and see how they impact the game. So
No, that's also good to know for the longevity of a game, because if you want a FPS game like this to last a while, you want the gunplay to change up at least a little bit to where you're not always seeing the same guns being used over and over and over again.
very true.
And on that note, I actually have a personal gripe about a weapon balance problem. I'm just going to throw it out here while we're on time to kill, and we've already talked about power weapons. The Meridian shotgun, the Charger.
I knew this was coming. I knew it.
Oh my God. This is a personal gripe. Like, we're here. I have to bring it up. I know some people don't agree with me, but if you don't agree with me, I'm sorry. You didn't actually use it. Something needs to be done.
I think the hard part with the Meridian shotgun, right, is it's got a very high skill ceiling where, at least in
you have
my
to
eyes,
time
during the alpha,
charge ups. Yeah.
During the alpha, at least, it was almost performing on the level of power weapons. And
Yes.
then, and again, this goes into personal philosophy for me and personal opinions. But then it's got very low skill floor, where if you struggle to aim, or if you struggle to pre-charge and stuff, it ends up being well and beyond worse than any other shotgun in the game that you could be using. So I think it's interesting to balance. I won't go into specifics, but I will say we're obviously collecting data on all guns, and that includes the Meridian shotgun.
That's
and
good.
We did have that from the alpha.
I'm happy to hear that. I do have a couple ideas to throw your guys' way, just to see how you guys feel about it. You can play with it. Do what you will with this, but we have discussed this within the map building community, and here's some of our solutions to what can fix the balancing problem with the Charger. Balancing problem solution number 1. Make it a lighter heavy. So it's still a power. Like you still have to pick it up, but it respawns faster. So you can get it more often throughout the match, and it can be used as a dueling option against some of the other power weapons that you throw in. I thought that was my personal favorite. It kind of gives me more of the vibe of how Halo does their power weapons. They'll tier it. You have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. My second solution number 2. This is how you are going to be able to keep it in the classes without pushing it to a power weapon category, which is what I think you guys want more. Simply just reduce its firing rate a little bit more. It fires way too fast. For someone who actually plays the game and can time it out, I can just weave in, boom, boom, boom. I killed their whole entire team. It's not that hard. If you just reduce the firing rate a little bit, it would force you to maybe switch to your pistol or do something in between a couple kills to make it a little bit harder to chain your kills. That is my main 2 solutions. There are some people saying just make it a little weaker. I don't think you need to reduce the strength of it. Its range, I think, is actually decent. Maybe reduce it a little bit on the range. I don't think so, though. It's pretty good on its range.
All interesting balancing suggestions, and that's
Thank you.
all I'm going to say. I want there to be surprises for the beta, you guys. I don't want to spoil everything.
No, that's fair. That's me just kind of taking my platform to put how I would balance the Charger. I do like the power.
I think they're great ideas
because it allows for more weapons to throw into the sandbox. But hey, maybe I'm hinting at something you guys have already done. Hopefully, maybe. Hopefully.
Can't say anything, but
okay.
You'll see, I suppose, in what is it, like 2 weeks roughly, 2 or 3 weeks?
Just a little over 2. We're at 16 days. 16 days.
The 22nd. I'm excited.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm counting down. I actually am. Like, I started the countdown chat in the Splitgate Discord. Okay. So we know we're going to be getting a map editor in Splitgate 2. At some point, could we possibly be seeing a roadmap for the map editor? I'm not saying you have one right now, but in the future, could one come?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Again, I work very far away from the map career community, so
That's
if
fair.
there is something that they're planning, I'm certainly not privy
More
to
of
it.
a question for Steve and Garrett. I'm guessing.
I think you would have to ask them.
Okay.
I know Cardinals talked broadly about his philosophy on deadlines and dates in the past publicly, so
Okay.
I'm not sure how that would play out with a roadmap, but time will tell.
Honestly, I'm surprised we're even getting the map editor this early, so I'm just a giddy little schoolgirl over here. I can't even lie.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for you guys to see it. I've seen it a little bit during play tests and stuff, and it is a blast to use. So really excited for you guys to get your hands on it.
Oh, and while we're on that, I will be doing a live stream the very first day to give people a first look at it. Going to be speed building my takedown map, Infinity Loop. So that should be a lot of fun. As your bold journey begins into an already competitive FPS genre, what steps have been taken by 1047 to ensure longevity for Splitgate 2? I feel like, again, we've already touched on this a little bit with your guys' ability to make updates real quickly in a modular way. But I want you to kind of take this chance to say anything else you guys might have done.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot. I guess I'll go over the big points, which the first is we've really just built out the team an incredible amount compared to the first one. So the first one, you guys have heard this story obviously several times. Those of you who haven't, it was obviously a college project that sort of, grew wings and took off, so to speak.
Yep.
It started as literally just Cardinal and Meme Lord for their senior project at Stanford. They're just like, hey, what if we add portals to Halo? And that's where it all blossomed from. And, when we first, got very popular, I would say during that summer of 21, we were just not expecting that whatsoever. Like there was maybe 8 or 9 of us. In terms of game engineers, it was quite literally Meme Lord. And then Ethan, who is, I believe, I don't know, I don't want to mess up his official title. He's really high up in the company. He's in charge of all of Game Eng. And then me, and it was my first time actually in game development. I was actually studying 3 months before that to go into artificial intelligence. I kind of fell into game development as a result of meeting Cardinal at college. And
that's actually really cool, though.
Yeah, it was really fun, and COVID just sort of screwing around with my course catalog. So I'm really glad I did. It's been an incredible journey. But, all that's to say, when we got really popular, our servers, as you guys know, just weren't ready for it. And so everyone but me pretty much was diverted to go work on fixing the servers. And me and Ethan, or Ethan and I were pretty much the only 2 people working on the game itself. And Ethan even more so, was very focused on anti-cheat, which was a very big issue at that point in time, and fixing high stakes bugs that frankly I just didn't have the knowledge to. So that definitely didn't make for a sustainable rate of development with where we were at. But now, as I mentioned before, we've grown the team an incredible amount. We've gotten some incredible hires, guys. Like, we've got some super high-level people that have come to us from really big-name AAA companies that have just done incredible work. I'm not going to dox anybody, but, it's like, it's really crazy just brushing shoulders with some of the industry's greatest. And I'm very honored to have the opportunity to do that nowadays. And then with that, the old crew that was there for the original, we've all just grown so much, I feel, since then, and gained a lot of lessons from, what went well, what didn't, technical skills in my case that I just didn't have back then, I now have in spades, I feel like. So that's been a big thing, and I'm going to keep going if that's all right, because I think there's a couple other important parts.
Please.
Another thing is just having a game that we can really sustain development on.
Yep.
You know, as mentioned before, it was a college project. The code was a little scuffed. To give a very concrete example, you know, our old game modes, like all of our game modes actually derived from pretty much a common class that just said, hey, every game mode is going to be a single round with kill-based scoring.
Yep.
And so if you want to change anything about that, which every other mode pretty much did, that was like a massive rework of the code. So
yeah,
even
that was a
like,
big change to see, and we're excited when we as the map builders saw that, because we're like, that's gonna allow us to be a lot more creative with the new modes that we can do now too.
precisely, like a concrete example, I suppose, is you know, King of the Hill used to be just pretty much single round, and we wanted to make it multi-round.
Yep.
But to do that, I was gonna have to copy over like hundreds of lines of code and rework them to work within a round-based system.
Yep.
Whereas now it's as simple as just changing like a 1 to a 2 or a 3, and all of a sudden it's round-based.
Exactly what you want your system to be like, because you don't want to spend all the time working on the technicals just to switch a simple stat that is just a 1 to a 2. So
Exactly.
that's exciting here. I also know there was a game mode, you guys called it Survival Brawl, I think. We in the map builders we called it Hunger Games though.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
The problem we had with that though, without the round systems, you go one round and then everyone's like, let's go again, and you're right back in. So it'd be nice with those rounds, you could do a 3-4 round game and you just go round after round. So
exactly. So yeah, now we just have the power to alter all sorts of stuff like that, just way faster on the fly. And then I guess the last big thing too is I feel that the sequel frankly just has more of a unique identity. Again, this is just my personal thoughts, but Splitgate 1 was very much, from my point of view, Halo, but with portals tacked on. Whereas Splitgate 2, to me, I think you can point to a lot of different games as inspirations for its gunplay, but at the same time, I'm not sure any other game really scratches the same itch as Splitgate 2 does for me. I think
I would personally say on the gunplay side, because during the Alpha I did get a chance to try out all the guns. I won a little no life for that weekend. It reminds me a little bit of classic Titanfall with the gunplay, just a tad bit, but it still has enough of that Halo yet Call of Duty feel to where, and blends it all in this blender real nicely to give its own unique identity, which is what I like. It truly, Splitgate 2 does feel like its own identity, where Splitgate 1, it kind of felt like it what was truly just taking from other games, and it was like, yep, there it is.
Yeah, it very much in a lot of ways, I think Splitgate 1 felt like a bit of a Chinese takeout menu. Where if you wanted something, you could find it, but it wasn't really clear what it was as a product at its core. Whereas 2, at least, like you look at the skins, for instance, the art already is just so much more unified than the first game and so much more pleasing on the eyes to me. Like, I feel like our art team has really cooked with this one. So, and I'm excited for you guys to see more of what's coming on the art front. But
and you know, I guess since we're here, I'm gonna throw this question out. I think I know the answer I'm gonna get, but we're here, so with the more coherent art style we're seeing, are we gonna be seeing some more lore or possibly some sort of story coming in the future?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question that I'm afraid I can't comment on, but
I had to try. Good effort,
but yep.
Okay, let's with that, let's move to the next one then, unless you have anything else you want to speak. I think we were talking about we're still on the longevity of Splitgate 2. We kind of we did get sidetracked.
I think those are like probably the big 3 things from my point of view, at least. Is just the team, the game itself, like, and how quickly it can be iterated on, and then the stuff in it just having sort of a consistent vision.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great to hear, and I can agree. Oh, yes. Are you guys possibly introducing any new game modes with the new engine limitations? You don't have to give us any specifics if you can't. That's fine. I just can we see anything new coming that we haven't seen yet?
Um, I mean, obviously, I can quote Ian's number, which is the alpha was like half or not even half. I can't remember which number he gave of the final product. So
Yep.
we definitely have some tricks up our sleeves, I'll say. And
Okay.
more directly to the question, I mean, pretty much every mode that we've made falls into that umbrella where we could
The
have
split
done.
ball, yeah, was a big one too, I think.
Split ball was big, yeah, having capturable things where you can dunk them and like take from it.
Yep.
In the first game's framework that we had, that would have been a nightmare to develop. Whereas here, like, it was very nice and very easy for us to get some quick prototypes going for it. So
That's honestly that it's good to hear that you guys can actually test and play with game modes now. Uh, Honestly, for an FPS arena game, it can get stale fast unless you have the new content that's coming. So that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
totally.
Let's move to the next one then. Ooh, this is actually a fun one. Is there any kind of sandbox or experimental mode planned for testing wild mechanics or community ideas?
Interesting. So I'm not sure I fully follow the question itself, but I
So
guess.
I think what the question is really trying to get at is, are there going to be any sort of like seasonal game modes or just limited time game modes where you're going to be testing more wild mechanics?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, you know, hmm, how do I answer this? I mean, I guess I'll say this. I can't really answer well their questions. All the stuff coming in the future, I really want to keep under wraps for now, or else our marketing department is going to come hunt me down, which would be no fun. But what I will say is, we with this new system, we've really got the flexibility to test some truly crazy stuff,
Yeah.
and I think Chaos was a good example of that, where
Yeah.
Chaos mode, which you guys saw in the alpha, we threw that together in pretty much 10 minutes, pretty much on our side. Like, it was very, very easy for us to create something like that. So
Oh yeah.
I think for now, to me, the limitation of what we invent seems to be our creativity and the creativity of the community. And so
That's great
I
to
think
hear.
there's a lot of fun stuff in the future, and I think you guys are going to be very impressed with
Okay.
what we have in store.
And now I do want to say something. I know you're not gonna. Don't even answer what I'm about to say. I'm not even gonna ask a question. This is more me trying to put something out there to hopefully get something in the future from the dev team. Can we possibly get some vehicles of some sort? I know mechs is something that seems to be getting floated around right now. I would love some sort of mech mode to just mess around for a little bit. I can't lie. But what would be even cooler would be like some sort of mongoose, where you could have your buddy hop on the back and then like drive around Glacier and maybe get like some static portals that you could then drive it through. I don't know. Just some ideas. I gotta throw them out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely welcome to throw it out there, and that is where I'm drawing the line on that one.
Actually, let's do another question before we get to that, because it's one that the community will burn me alive if I don't ask you it soon. And I don't even know if you can give me a good answer on it, but since I've had so many people beg me to ask it, I have to ask it.
All right.
Do we
Let's hear it.
have any news on ranked? I had seen a Sports Illustrated article not too long ago saying that there would be a ranked mode in the beta, but to be fair, the person writing the article did seem a little uninformed. So, do you have any news you can give us on ranked?
I don't have news that I can give you on ranked. The Sports Illustrated person probably, I mean, is just as aware, if not more so, than I am on that front. Like,
Okay.
I'm totally uninformed with what our plans are for playlists. What I'll say is what Cardinal said during the alpha, which he did say that obviously he himself is a very competitive player.
Yeah.
So we'll see, given that. personally, I'd love to see a ranked mode. I think it can be pretty fun to sweat with your teammates.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I know
yeah,
rank's a very popular mode among the OG Splitgate players too. So I know a lot of them are they're itching to be able to grind their ranks out again. So uh,
yeah. I mean, hopefully it comes. We'll see.
let's go with the last question, which again we already touched on a little bit, but let's give a final thought on it. How does have you guys reflected on what you've learned from the original game's unexpected surge in popularity?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely learned that you can never predict when popularity is going to hit, ahead
Yep.
of time or necessarily by how much, but you can be prepared for it. So, we've put just a ton of work into building very sustainable code that should hopefully scale very well
That's
to,
good.
big player counts. We saw that it was scaling very well during the alpha as well. Like, my performance at least was
Yeah.
fantastic. So hopefully that yours matched that experience.
Yeah, like I've
Oh,
said before, we had just a couple performance problems on Glacier, but
mhm.
you guys fixed that almost right away, and there was no more problems after that.
Yeah,
So that was
and I
really
can say,
nice.
because it's been said publicly, performance has been a massive focus for us since the alpha
Yes.
as well, just making everything a lot more streamlined for the players. So, definitely we've been working hard there. Past that as well, just pretty much what I said before, like building out a game that, takes the best parts of Splitgate while still streamlining or adding the parts that we're missing,
Yep.
or maybe not quite up to snuff in the original, really forging more of a unique identity. I think our game modes, again, I hate to keep talking game modes, but it's kind of my wheelhouse. But I think the
I
modes
love it
kind of
too.
reflect that,
Yeah.
where in the original game, sort of the main modes were like Domination, King of the Hill, and forget what the last one was that was sort of in the main three. But now we've got like Firecracker, which is sort of like maybe kind of takes notes from SND a little bit, but
Yep.
still different. It's got its own thing where you can diffuse multiple times. It's round
Yep.
based. Hot Zone is still a original capture point mode of ours, and
Yep.
then you've got Split Ball as well, which plays very fun and very uniquely. I
I'm
think with the portals, sneaking in and stealing the
very
balls from the enemy
excited
team's base.
to see how split ball plays at a very competitive level. One thing I do want to hopefully see changed is increasing how long it takes to actually steal a ball. I remember back during the alpha, you could just walk up to the enemy base, press a button, and you had their ball. I felt like that was just just a little too fast, but maybe it's already been changed.
Maybe.
Maybe. uh, okay, now we're on to important questions. Yes,
Oh boy.
the section where
I'll
Ben.
do my best.
All I'm gonna say is actually most of these got cut out. I'm not even gonna lie. I wasn't gonna sit here and pepper Ben with a bunch of questions that he can't answer. So I'm gonna ask the one question that I know he can answer. Will we get some element of surprise when the beta, or no, when the full game launches, not when the beta launches, like from the beta to launch? Is there going to be some sort of element of surprise?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been very tight-lipped during this interview because we do have more things coming,
Yep.
and you guys haven't seen everything.
No,
So yeah,
that's always
you'll just have
good
to
to
see.
hear. That's always good to hear. Because, as much as we want to know about what's coming, it's always nice to have that surprise, to get that little bit of like, oh my god, What is up? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching this before May 22nd, I just wanted to let you guys quickly know that I will be doing a build stream the very day that the beta drops. So make sure you tap into my live stream to get the very first look at the map creator. I do plan on doing more interviews just like this one. I have been talking with one of the other devs and a couple other content creators as well. I do want to try and space these out a little bit more. I just kind of crammed a couple back to back to try and get some hype going for this beta. I really think it deserves all the hype that it's getting. And honestly, I look forward to seeing you guys in the beta. Peace.
Do what it takes, been breaking the limits. Tats on my face, I'm not faking the image. I'ma leave you a sample, and then lead by example.